Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Vivian. I'm a robotics engineer with a love for all things beauty and makeup related, and today we're going to do a little Shop My Stash update for the month of August. I have all the products that I had in my Shop My Stash last month, and we're going to talk through them. I'll leave a timestamp down below if you don't really care about the products and how I felt about them this last month, and if you just want to skip to the new products, that'll be linked down below for you. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day today, and let's just hop into it. Starting off with foundation, I picked out the Dior Forever Skin Glow foundation in the shade 3WO last month for my Shop My Stash, and to be completely honest, I didn't use this as much as I thought I would, primarily because I was focusing on finishing up my concealer that I had in my project pan, and for base most days I would just take like a pump or a pump and a half of my concealer and mix it in with the glowy primer and use that as my base instead. So I didn't reach for this as much as I thought I would. I mean, I still love this foundation. I still think it's a great foundation. I do have two different shades of this. So I have 2WO and 3WO. 3WO is like a tiny bit dark for me, but in the summertime I feel like you can't even tell. I do love this foundation. It's like higher in coverage than what I typically prefer, but honestly sometimes I really enjoy that. It leaves a really pretty finish on the skin too, so it's a great foundation if you are interested in it. I do have two shades though, so I definitely want to try and make my way through one of them. After I finish up the minimalist stick, I think I might throw one of these into my project pan and try and finish up a full foundation, just because I do have two shades. I don't necessarily think I need two shades, but it's a stunning foundation. Lovely. Highly recommend if you are looking for a new foundation. So I have two different blushes to talk about. The first one is the Milani Cheek Kiss in the shade 110 Nude Kiss, and I do like this formula a lot, but again I just didn't reach for it that much because I was very focused on finishing up my Rare Beauty blush that's in my project pan, and I just didn't tend to reach for this because I already had blush on. The Rare Beauty blush is pretty pigmented, so I always felt like I had enough like liquid blush on my face at the time, so I just didn't reach for this. I think it's a stunning formula, especially for the drugstore. I think it's very similar to a few other like high-end blushes that I have in my collection. It feels really similar to the Rare Beauty melting balm or melting blush, honestly, where it melts with the touch of your skin, but when you blend it out, it pretty much blends out to like a powdery finish. So I think it's a great option if you're looking for a drugstore blush. I was just so focused on something else in my collection that I just didn't reach for this, but I do like it. I like it a lot actually. The packaging is starting to break at the back here, which I'm a little bit concerned about, but you know, if I don't travel with this, I'm not going to be super concerned about it in the future. I just know a lot of drugstore packaging tends to break on me, and I don't know if it's because I'm like extra rough with it or if it's just that cheap. About the blush, it's a good formula. I just didn't really reach for it. I'll get there eventually. Once I finish my Rare Beauty blush, I'll start loving this again. The second blush I had in there was my Essence the blush in the shade 20 Bespoke. You guys know this is one of my favorite blush formulas. I might even say that it's my favorite blush formula just because it is so soft. It is just like the perfect everyday blush, especially if you don't know what blush to wear. The shade is stunning. My one gripe with it is the packaging because it obviously broke, and so I don't love to travel with it, but the blush itself is beautiful, and the blush is like $4, so I highly recommend this blush if you can get it. There are a couple different shade variations. This is just the one that I have, and I just think it's like my perfect everyday blush. The next thing I want to talk about is my Flower Beauty Day Glow. This is the Highlighting Glaze Balm. It's a cream highlighter in a pot. It's honestly very pretty on the skin. I use this a lot actually. I don't think you can really tell because you don't really need a lot, but it goes on so smoothly and so beautifully, and it just kind of gives you that glow from within type of look, which is what I typically prefer for highlighting in general. I am gonna switch this out though because I did put in a highlighter in my project pan to finish up, and so I just don't think I need 2 different cream highlighters in my Shop My Stash basket for this month. The next thing is my M Cosmetics Corselette Sculpting Powder Bronzer in the shade Silhouette. This is a great bronzer if you need one. I think there are very similar bronzers out there though, so M Cosmetics isn't the easiest to get your hands on, so if you want it, I highly recommend it, but if you think there are other options out there that are easier for you to get your hands on, that are less expensive, go with those instead. I do like this bronzer. It's very pretty. It's not super warm tone. It is warm, don't get me wrong, but it's not like super warm tone where it looks orange, and that's one of my biggest gripes with most bronzers, is that they lean too orange on me, and just the way that it looks with my like olive skin tone, I don't love it. And so I do like the tone of this a lot. I think it's really nice. It is very powdery and like soft to the touch, so you do get a little bit of kick up with it when you use it. But other than that, I think it's a good bronzer. I have been using it, but again, I'm gonna pull this out because I did put in a powder bronzer into my project pan to work on. And the last 2 things here are eyeshadow palettes. The first one is Colourpop Going Coconuts. I wanted to reach my goal on this for my No Palette Left Behind challenge. I did end up doing that. I have used this a total of 5 times this year. I think this is a stunning palette. These shimmers are absolutely unreal if you want a more impactful shimmer look. The mattes blend out really nicely. You have a deep enough brown that you can do like a little wing liner if you want. It is relatively affordable, and it's just a really good palette. You can see my packaging is like disgusting because this is pretty much my go-to travel palette, just because you get a nice big mirror, you get all the shades that you need. These shimmers are stunning, and it just has like the perfect tones from every day for me. So I love this palette. I'm glad I finished it in terms of my No Palette Left Behind challenge, and yeah, we're gonna pick out a different palette for this month. The next palette is my Beauty Bay Youtopia palette. I have only used this a couple times. I think I've used this 3 times in total, partly because I know one of the ways I used it was for my Barbie makeup look, Barbie makeup inspired look. If you want to check that out, I can link that in the eye here for you. But it's a really pretty palette. It's just super bright, and I mean, I say this all the time, but I'm not a huge colorful eyeshadow person to begin with, and so it's kind of hard for me to force myself to use this, especially because I don't wear eyeshadow very often. So I do like it. I think the powders in here are really pigmented. They're powdery, so there's a little bit of kick up, but the impact it has for the amount that it costs is top tier in my opinion. I am going to put all these products away, and then we will switch over to my other camera so that we can show the top-down view and pick out some new products. Okay, so in terms of base products, I already have a foundation, primer, and powder in my project pan, and so I think I'm just gonna look at my concealers here and see what I want to use additionally to my Merit the Minimalist stick. So we're looking through here. There are quite a few different concealers. I think I'm gonna go with this one. This is from Natasha Denona. This is, I don't actually know what the full name of this is, but this is in the shade Y7. I've heard really good things about this concealer. I also really like this concealer, but I don't think I have my full thoughts on it yet. I haven't used this in a while since I've been so focused on my NYX Bare With Me concealer serum. So we're going to pull this out and give this a go. And this will be nice if I want a little bit more coverage than the Merit Minimalist stick. So there's that. This drawer, I'm pretty much going to skip over though because I do already have that highlight in my project pan, so that can just be closed again. All right, this drawer is pretty much my favorite drawer. It's my bronzers and blushes, both cream and powder. They're all just kind of mixed in here, and I have a couple different setting sprays as well. For bronzer, I think I'm gonna go with my Tower 28 Sculptino. This is in the shade Hammer. I've only used this a couple different times. I have the Bronzino as well, and you can see I've hit pan on it because it was in my project pan a while ago, but I haven't used the Sculptino as much, and so I want to pull this in. I think it's really pretty, and I love the Tower 28 formula in general, the cream formula in general, so I'm gonna pull this out. Let's see, what do I want to do for blush? So again, I have the Rare Beauty blush that I've been working on for so so long at this point. I kind of want to pull out something else too, but I'm not quite sure what. I don't have that many powder blushes in here, which is kind of strange because I do want to make sure that I have something to set my blush if I want to go that route, but I guess I just haven't gone that route like ever. Let's do this. So this is a little sample size of another Rare Beauty blush. This is in the shade Happy. It's a much cooler pink, and I think at the very least I could use this to mix with the blush in the shade Joy. This is brand new. I haven't even used it yet. It came in a little kit was sold at Sephora. It came with like one of the lip balms and this mini blush, and this seems more like my shade anyway, so at the very least, I think mixing it with the shade Joy will give me a color that I like a little bit more and will also get me some use out of that. So we're gonna put this in. And then as far as powder goes, I don't know, I want to put in like a neutrally blush again, so I guess let's do this. I haven't used this in a while. This is my Patrick Ta blush duo. This is in the shade She's So LA. It's this very pretty, bronzy, just nude color. I think it's gorgeous, and it has the cream and the powder, so I get a little bit of a choice there as well. So picking this out as well. Okay, so for our eyeshadow, I already put back the other two palettes. I think I'm gonna pull out my Urban Decay Naked Wild West palette. I think I've only used this one time in the past couple months, and I definitely want to get more use out of it if I can open it. So this is what the palette looks like. It's pretty much your staple neutral palette with like a few pops of color, which if you know me, that's pretty much my go-to. That's like the palette that fits my vibe the most, but it does have cool tones and warm tones, so I think this is a really good versatile palette. It's a little bit bulkier, but I think that'll be okay. And then the next palette I'm gonna pick out is my Nabla Cutie. This palette is absolutely stunning, but I literally have not used this at all this year, according to my No Palette Left Behind tracker. So I wanna make sure I use this at least a couple times this month, just to get something on the board there, because it looks really sad and lonely with the 0 next to its name. So we're gonna pull this out as well. And I know I don't typically pull out any like lipsticks or anything in my Shop My Stash, but I'm gonna pull this Clinique lip balm in the shade Black Honey. I feel like I'm pretty close to being done with it, and I've been like in a mood lately to try and use this again. So we're gonna pull this out as well. So these are all of the items in my Shop My Stash this month for the month of August. I think we have a pretty good little blend here. I think putting the Rare Beauty blush in the shade Happy will help me use the Rare Beauty blush in the shade Joy a lot more, just so I can mix like a more fun shade. And I mean, I'm very much about these like pinks right now, so I think that'll be fun. These two palettes, I just want to make sure I get some use out of, because in my No Palette Left Behind tracker, these are very much neglected. I think this is a pretty good spread. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know what you guys think of these products, if you guys like them, or what's your favorite product out of this pick. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.